Hi, my name is Marquise. I am doing a video report for video report number two. And the topic that I chose to talk about is fairness criteria. The main idea behind fairness criteria is what I found in is that in the terms of the four fairness criteria, there is no consistent preferential voting method that can satisfy all four of them, and it is subjective. So there's four different criterias for the fairness criteria. There's four different voting methods, four different there's four different criteria, and none of them satisfy any type of voting method. There's different types of ways that you can vote with these criteria, and none of them satisfy. They cannot all satisfy one voting situation. So there's the Condorcet criterion, the majority criterion, the monotonicity criterion, and the irrelevant alternatives criterion. And each one of them has certain things that is for instance, the Condorcet criterion, a candidate who wins head-to-head matchups with all other candidates should be the winner. And that's pretty much what it is. It just has different criteria for each one. So there are four different voting methods, and there's challenges to each one of those. The first one is plurality, which is the most first place votes. The challenge with that is it doesn't take into account preferences other than first, and it is susceptible to insincere or strategic voting. So it may not be sincere. That may be the challenge. The challenge is that people voting are not being sincere. The second one is border count, which places on a ballot are assigned points, and generally the candidate with the most points wins the election. Self-explanatory. The challenge is it can produce a winner that is a compromised candidate, and it may not be a bad thing. So that's for the border count. The plurality with elimination is to eliminate the least favorable candidate based on the number of first place votes until there is a winner. And the challenge with this is it's susceptible to insincere and strategic voting. Again, it's not sincere. So there's another one, which is the fourth one is pairwise comparison. The candidate winning the most matchups, pairwise comparisons, wins the election. The challenge with this is it may produce an election in which everyone wins, and that is not, you can't do that. One person has to win the election. There can't be two people winning. So a hint that I would, or a suggestion that I would make is doing the work thoroughly and making sure it's a method that is suitable for that particular election. So it may not be suitable for the election that you need to do in next year, but it is suitable for the election that you do need to do right now. So that you need to do the work and thoroughly make sure that you are actually finding the best suitable method for that voting period or that voting in that moment. So I chose two problems out of the book to elaborate on. The first one is number 6 from chapter 10, section 10.2. And it pretty much states that, and I did the first part in the book, so it pretty much states that for part A, you need to use the plurality with elimination method to choose a new textbook for adoption. So in the book, there's a ranking of first, second, third, and fourth, and then there's total votes on the bottom of that table, and then you just have to choose from first place who has the most first place votes. The least first place votes. Whoever has the least, you knock all of them off the table, and then this brings you to part B. In part B, I had to change some things because there were some people who wanted to change their vote ranking. So you have to change the vote ranking and take it out and move it around in part B. And that's what is seen here in part B. And A Look in Time, which is one of the books, is the plurality with elimination winner for part B. Part C says, is the monotonicity criterion satisfied, and explain your answer. And I said, yes, the monotonicity criterion is satisfied because both times in each table that was created, A Look in Time was the winner. And in the monotonicity one, it says any candidate who receives a majority of first place votes should be the winner. So it was satisfied because in both tables, even though I had to switch them, the A Look in Time book was the winner. So the second one that I did was number 8 from that chapter as well, which is doing the pairwise method of comparison, not elimination of plurality. It's the pairwise method of elimination, which pretty much you do head to head of each criteria. You do a head to head table as seen in A. I'm doing a head to head table for all the different it's for nonprofit organizations and social networking sites to increase the interest. So you're doing head to head different competitions. There's a formula that you have to do to determine how many of these head-to-head competitions that you need to do. And in here, I had to do 10. So I did all those here, and then I found out who the winners were. And then I determined that Facebook is given the higher ranking using the pairwise method of comparison. So for C in this one, does the pairwise method satisfy the irrelevant alternatives criterion for this preference table, why or not? I said yes, because the irrelevant alternatives states that if a candidate wins an election, then that same candidate would win the election even if one or more candidates pulls out. So in this case, Facebook won the first election, and in the second election, Google Plus and Pinterest pulled out. So that left Facebook with the most first and second place spots, meaning they would most likely win the second election. So pretty much the criterion was satisfied. So again, if you have a fairness criteria in a voting method, it has to be suitable for that, whatever that voting period is. And that is my video.